Yale Zoom webinar, Yale Club of Southern Arizona. And we're very pleased today to have Anne Breckenridge Barrett, who is the U of A Center for Creativity Director. The U of A Center for Creative Photography was established in 1975. I'm going to see if I can stop my video while I check this list out for Anne, and then I'll get back on. But anyway, the Center for Creative Photography was established in 1975. It's the premier research collection of American photographic fine art and archives promoting creative dialogue and appreciation of photography's enduring cultural influence. Anne was appointed director in 2017. She has a BA in art history from American University, an MA in visual arts administration from NYU, and a JD degree from Vermont Law School. She has over 23 years of experience in museums, nonprofit management, and law. Before coming to Arizona, she was the director of collections and exhibitions at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, where she helped lead a transformation of that museum into a 21st century museum institution that is artist activated and audience engaged. In May 2019, she was named the Associate Vice President for the Arts of the College of Fine Arts at the U of A, a position she holds along with her position at the center. As Associate Vice President for the Arts, she serves as a senior member of the Arizona Arts Leadership Team and helps guide the development of a strategic vision for the U of A Museum of Art. Once again, I'm Jim Curry. Welcome to our second effort to put on these Zoom meetings in lieu of our luncheon meetings at the U of A. And I will turn it over to you, Anne. And if you wish, Anne, you can handle the Q&A at the end, or I can help you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much to everybody for having me today. I mean, my goodness, it's Friday, the end of quite a week. And I applaud you all for coming to hear about something other than what you hear about on the news. So thank you. I'm gonna share my screen now, and we'll see if I can do this. There we go. Okay. Can everybody see that? Jim, can you see that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And for those of you who may have the bar of the Brady Bunch bar on the right-hand side of your screen, if you go to the top right and click on the lowest bar, you can get rid of faces there. So you can just see my screen and you won't have to look at my face while I speak. So it's my pleasure to talk to you today about the Center for Creative Photography at the University of Arizona. If you're not familiar with the center, we are located on campus. We're on Olive Road near the intersection of Park and Speedway. And we're across the street from the Maroney Theater, the University of Arizona Museum of Art, the College of Fine Art, and the Fred Fox School of Music. And we're next door neighbors with the College of Architecture and Landscape Architecture as well. So we are truly in the arts district. And we were founded, as Jim said, in 1975 by Dr. Schaefer, Dr. John Schaefer. He was 38 years old, around there at the time, the youngest university president at U of A. And the origin story is quite fun. If you've already heard it, I'll try and be animated here. But the story goes that John Schaefer was at an opening of Ansel Adams photography at the museum, and Ansel was present they began a conversation, and the way Dr. Schaefer tells it, he kind of looked at Ansel and said, you know, you should really leave your archive to the university. And Ansel looked at him, you know, rather incredulously, like, what are you, do you even know who you're talking to? That kind of thing. And he said, well, you know, Berkeley wants my archive, and it probably will just go into a basement at the Beinecke because they probably want it too. Why don't you come up to Carmel and have a conversation and we'll talk about it? And what ensued was a lifelong friendship between the two men and the creation of the Center for Creative Photography. Ansel Adams wanted a place where advocacy for the medium could happen, where it wasn't just his archive, but it was many archives. And in the next few years, he was able to talk to Harry Callahan, Wynne Bullock, Aaron Siskin, and Wynne Bullock, Aaron Siskin, and Frederick Sommer. And so those 5 archives began the Center for Creative Photography. And then after that, the floodgates opened a bit. Gary Winogrand, W. Eugene Smith, Lola Alvarez Bravo, among many other archives, began to flow into the center. In 1989, the Brutalist building that you see before you was built and really designed to house an archive and what it meant to truly study collections and be a research center for one medium. One of the things that attracted me to the center was that it was not only a museum, but it was also an archive. And what does that mean? Well, it has 2 collections where a traditional 501c3 standalone museum has a fine art collection, and those pieces come into the collection, they're given accession numbers, and they're cataloged and stewarded accordingly. At the center, we have 2 collections that are each stewarded in their own right. One is the collection, the fine print collection, where we have over 120,000 fine prints. The other collection is the archive collection, which is over between 8 and 9 million objects that represent about 270 photographers' archives. We also have library volumes and oral histories. And so not only is research happening at the center, but exhibitions are also happening. When I came to the center 3 years ago, and I can't believe it was 3 years ago, but it was, the center had gone through different iterations over its lifetime. And in the development of an institution up to that point, I would say it was a teenager. It was about 40 years old. And as different staff members came and went, and different directors with different expertise had come and gone, you would see where the focus was at any given time. So I really took a long look at the mission, which was to promote creative dialogue and appreciation of photography's enduring cultural influence, and really started to dig down as to what that meant when it came to archives, fine print collection, and something that I had identified was missing for quite a while, and that was community. And I mean community outside just the photography or fine art community. So we went to work and drafted core values, and we also authored a 5-year strategic action plan where investment, access, and engagement are the top priorities in no chronological order. And we focused on these amazing collections when we were thinking about how can an institution be both a museum and an archive. In the past, there had been conversations that those 2 things were competing interests. You either had to be a research center or you were a museum. And I quickly tried to pivot that conversation and talk about how the center could really leverage the uniqueness of what it what it is and what it houses, because there aren't very many, if any, institutions that match it, either nationally or globally. So this is just to show you the rich diversity of the collection as it stands right now. The collection is really strong in 20th century American modernism. It's also strong in fashion, photojournalism, as well as Mexican and Japanese photography. We started to drill down and think about, what does it mean? What does this collection mean in the 21st century? And so in many, many museums, you see the collecting practices reflect the expertise of the director and the curatorial staff at any given time. What I did was bring a perspective that said, let's not look deeply at the expertise that lives within us right now. Let's look and make a collecting plan, a visual document by theme and by chronology that identifies where our strengths are, where our weaknesses may be, where the gaps are, and what our aspirations are. And we found quickly that to bring the center more heavily into the 21st century, we needed to fill in gaps of underrepresented artists and stories and archives. And that's what we've been doing for the past 3 years. When it comes to the archive, these are two photographs that just give you an idea that archives are much more than cameras or contact sheets or negatives or work prints. We have a rich audiovisual collection and many, many volumes in our library. We have a non-circulating library where we have research hours. Scholars come in from all over the world to do research. Curators do as well. And when pre-2020, we also offer competitive fellowships to folks in the field who are working on exhibitions, books, scholarly research, and artists who want to use the archive for inspiration and conceptual practice. And so these folks would make appointments, they would come into the archive and do research. Since COVID happened, we have been incredibly overwhelmed with the amount of reference questions that we get on a daily basis. And because we are only allowed in the building in a limited basis, we're doing our best to provide scanned copies and serve researchers as we can, really. This is Lola Alvarez Bravo, and I share this with you just to give a little bit of a glimpse into the depth of what an archive and a collection can do. You know, here the one with the lady holding the book, that's a photo montage. And Lola's intent was to really communicate the experience of these women at a women's university. You know, she was at the center of the Mexican cultural renaissance following the revolution. She was good friends with Frida Kahlo. And her, you know, she started as an assistant to her husband, and then upon their divorce, continued her career. And what this archive shows us is that women were practicing in the 20th century, but what we've learned is most never saved any of their work because it wasn't valued. So this is a great example of a collection that is used by researchers throughout the world, and also an area where we really are seeking to fill in gaps and bring in more female archives. This is an example of some mini book maquettes. We have archive objects that represent the conceptual practice of our photographers. Here, Paul Strand was making these maquettes as he was attempting to put together a photo book. And if you go into our vault, you'll see everything from, you know, photo book maquettes to a chair that Eugene Smith used to sit in, to Ansel Adams cameras. So the objects are truly interesting and really compelling. So how do we make them available to people? Well, we have the Laura Volkerding Study Center, and you see a library table there set up with a CD player, a video tape player, like a VHS player. And what researchers do is they come in, they use the finding aids, and our incredible staff of archivists go into the vault and pull materials and original source material for them. And some come for 2 days and some come for 6 months. And they work within the study center. The print viewing room is also in this slide, and you'll see pop-up exhibitions can happen at a moment's notice. No, that's not true. My registrar would not like me to say that. There's a lot of work that goes into pulling prints and archival objects. But what it does allow us to do is host classes. There are art history classes, different units throughout the university, different faculty bring their classes in so they can see original source material, and we do it in this room. What we've done since my arrival, we've opened up print viewings back for the public. Before my time, they used to do them quite regularly, but the collection was suffering a bit based on the objects that were requested to be seen on a regular basis. So now we control it a bit more. We have a membership. Our membership has, one of the benefits is a print viewing on a regular basis. And they're just extremely popular. We do them on our family days too. Another way we show off this incredible collection is through our gallery exhibitions. Here are two, these are two photographs from exhibitions that have happened during my time. And the Richard Avedon exhibition was now 2 years old. Yes, a year old. And coming from work in different museums throughout my career, one of the things that I did was travel exhibitions. And when I came to the center, it really blew my mind that we could put on a Richard Avedon exhibition and not have one loan from any other institution in the world. All we had to do was go upstairs and bring the work downstairs. We're able to mount monographs and retrospective exhibitions of our archive artists and artists that are representative in our fine print collection without too much overhead. And given the direction museums are going now in the time of COVID, that's very comforting. The Roger Minnick photograph here, Airstream at Monument Valley in Arizona, that was from a show called Longer Ways to Go. And it was a wonderful homage to the Great American Road Trip, Route 66. And it was photographs of different travels across the country through Route 66. And we were able to program around that exhibition. And it really did show that the community wanted more. We did a family day where we screened the movie Cars, and we had Truly Nolan underwrite the show, and it was quite a weekend, to say the least. If you've been to the center, you know when you walk in the door to the right is the gallery that I just spoke about, and to the left was kind of a multi-use space, and it housed our digital imaging unit. At one point in the CCP's history, it housed its own archive, but it was not well-used space. And I remember during my candidacy, I walked in and I said, oh, this could be something really interesting. So my vision was to have an interdisciplinary gallery where we would have the opportunity to work with units all across campus and veer away from a traditional exhibition and more towards a commons, a place where we can invite provocative inquiry about photography really connect with our audiences and be in more of an interactive mode with AV equipment, video. And I was giving a speech much like this at President Robin's home 2 years ago, and I was asking folks to join the Director's Circle, which is our leadership giving circle. And I mentioned that if anybody wanted to talk to me more about the vision for an interdisciplinary gallery, I would always be available. And that evening, our wonderful donor came forth and said, let's start a conversation. And I am so pleased to say that this gallery was completed in June. And because of COVID, we have not been able to open it yet. But I'm looking very forward to sharing it with folks in the spring as we continue discussions at the university about the possibility of us opening on the weekends to the public. We also have exhibition space at the Phoenix Art Museum. We've had a rich history with Phoenix for over 12 years. And the Doris and John Norton Gallery for the Center for Creative Photography lives within PAM. And right now, currently on view, is Ansel Adams performing the print. We have a curator at the center who is dedicated to the Norton Gallery in Phoenix. And what we do is we grab from our collection and have a satellite gallery, if you will, for the region up north. And it's a wonderful partnership. Right now, and we're in the time of COVID, so if you have the opportunity to be in Phoenix and you feel safe to go to the museum, this show, Ansel Adams performing the print, is really fantastic. We're lucky to have Chief Curator Becky Sempf on staff. She is a renowned Ansel Adams scholar. Her dissertation was on Adams' early work. She just came out with a book, and this show, Performing the Print, really investigates how Ansel Adams felt that the negative in photography was the composer's score, if you will, and the print was the performance. And that really honors what Ansel believed throughout his career. If you're not familiar with him, he was trained as a concert pianist, so music was dear to his heart, and the lyrical nature of some of his landscapes really does evidence that. So that pretty much sums up what we do on a daily basis when we're not in 2020. We've got researchers and students in the Volkerding room. We have exhibitions going on in our galleries. We have a vibrant conservation lab upstairs, staffed by Dana Hemingway, who came to us from the Library of Congress, and she's constantly doing incredible treatment on our archival holdings and our prints. But then 2020 happened, and I am pleased to share that we have not had any layoffs at the center as of yet. We've just heard that we're going to have quite a budget cut, and we're navigating that. But when March happened, I got the staff together and we started talking about what could we do in a virtual world. And one of the things that resonated with all of us was that, we're all saturated with photography. It is an easy lift, if you will. And so I am honored to work with some of the most innovative folks. I can barely navigate a Zoom, but they stepped up. We formed a social media response team, and they stepped up to the moment and created a lot of different avenues to connect. So what you see before you now is our CCP app, CCP Interactive. And one of our donors graciously funded this. And it is a way to connect to the center in times of COVID and others. But right now, this is how you would visit our exhibition that would be in the main gallery. And that exhibition is called Finding Meaning, an offering of photographs for an uncertain time. And the intention of this show, when I got the curatorial team together, we really talked about how folks right now probably need a space where they can reflect and feel and create a dialogue about these personal journeys that we've all had. And so by taking photographs and having them resonate, using different themes, illness, wellness, isolation, gathering, protest, unrest, we really investigated a collective experience. And with this interactive experience, you can go to the app and you can learn from the curators themselves why they chose these photographs. And then we invite the audience to share with us how these photographs resonate with them. This fall, we were set to do an exhibition entitled Photojournalism 2020, I think 2020. And we were going to be investigating campaign photography and how photojournalism has impacted history, especially during election years. 2020 happened and we pivoted a bit, and our associate curator for public programs and academic programs turned this show into something that I think is just so exciting. It's called A Think Tank for an Unimaginable Present. And it's really the study of news, images, historically, and then how we receive our news through images today, right? So it follows closely how photographs have been used as part of many experiences in 2020, pandemics, protests, political campaigns, and the like. And so it will go virtual in December of this year, and you'll be able to access that through the app, and oops, I'm getting ahead of myself, and Facebook and other ways to link YouTube as well. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to hang this show with the hope that we'll be able to welcome people in the Interdisciplinary Gallery to enjoy it this spring. And if we have to wait, we'll just keep doing a lot of videos. Another thing we've done is we've pivoted our programming to be virtual and concentrate on that Photojournalism 2020 theme. And so far this year, I've had a conversation with Charisse May, who is the only African-American woman in the White House press corps. And you can access these on YouTube if you'd like to enjoy them. We had a great conversation about what it was like to be front and center in the Capitol, at the White House, where policy is being discussed, and then pivot and go to Lafayette Square and photograph protests. It was really a rich conversation, and her images are fantastic. We then had an event with David Kennerly, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer in our collection. He's an archive artist now. And David and I spoke about campaign photography over the past 40 years. And our next one is Susan Meiselas and Dr. Rukin Singhal. And they're going to be in conversation about the Kurdistan projects that they've both worked on, the stories, the memories, and the diaspora of the Kurdish peoples. And Dr. Rukin Singhal is a professor in Middle Eastern Studies here at the U of A, and this is a great example of how we connect in our interdisciplinary world. We also launched a program called Micro Talks and Macro Ideas, where we ask folks to come and spend 10 minutes answering questions that we pose to them, and we record that and put it up on our YouTube and Facebook and Instagram sites. We've interviewed a great group of folks so far. You see here Vanessa Charlot, Dr. Jennifer Good from London. Vanessa is a photographer, and our next one will be Dr. Alyssa Richardson. She teaches journalism and communications at USC, and she's going to be talking about the role of citizen photojournalism and social media as a balancer to traditional news media, and how that the action of these citizen photojournalists have changed the way that we get our media and our photography, and really how we see the news cycle. So that lands on November 18th. My marketing folks always tell me to use this slide. So these are all the different ways that we're connecting with people during this time. As I said, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, and we use traditional email too. The ways that folks can get involved with us, as I mentioned, we have a director's circle. We have 6 levels of membership and program membership levels where members have different benefits. There are member only, right now, there are member only virtual events and programs. And that's about where we're limited at this moment. But when we're not in COVID, our director circle members travel with me. We've gone to Paris to Perry Photo. We've gone to New York. We've gone to Carmel and visited Ansel Adams' home and Edward Weston's home at Wildcat Hill. It's a great group of folks. And we have artists and photo enthusiasts and folks that are just friends of the center. Our membership enjoys events at the center as well. We have a volunteer group that we started last year, and those opportunities will hopefully be available in the fall of 2021. And very soon we're going to be forming a community circle, community advisory group. I'll end with these 2 photographs. One of the benefits of membership in our director circle, each member gets a limited edition print by a living artist in our collection. And in 2019, it was Mark Klett. If you're familiar with Mark's work, he is an incredible artist and teacher. He's a Regents professor at ASU and has done an incredible amount of collaborative work throughout the West. And the other photograph is by David Hume Kennerly. That was our limited edition print this year. And I chose this print in the summer before I knew, before Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed. And when we unveiled it a few weeks ago, folks were just so pleased. No matter what your political persuasion is, this is just an incredible image of 2 really important women in history. And with that, I can share with you some links. I'm saying thank you, but now I'm trying to navigate Zoom, right? So I have to stop sharing my screen. Stop sharing. There we go. And I'm going to come down here to the chat, and I will try to cut and paste some links in there. So yes, there's a link to our exhibitions and events. And I will do that. Oh, there's more. There's 3 different links there: exhibitions, events, and some membership information as well. So thank you. Thank you for having me. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to field them.
Well, Anne, thank you so much. That was a very fascinating peek into the rich environment culturally and artistically that you have created and done a lot to help further here in Tucson at the U of A. And it sounds like you are coping well in the current environment. I will let you try to handle the Q&A session if there are any, and I'll mute myself from this point on. Thank you so much, Anne. It was great hearing from you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jim. If you all want to, you can put your questions in the chat or just unmute, I suppose, and ask. The links were not put into the chat. Huh. Oh, they were only to, oh, sorry about that. Let me try again. All panelists and attendees. There we go. How about now? Hopefully that worked.
It's me again. Let me know if there's anything I need to do on my end.
I think I got it to work. I think that was Belinda. Great. Well, I'm not seeing any questions.
Well, we have the links in the chat, so thank you very much for that. And again, Anne, really appreciate your taking the time to be with us today, to the Yale audience, and appreciate all of our guests.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. And please visit us. Feel free to reach out to me or anybody on my team. We're really honored to be in Tucson, and one of our focuses is community and making sure that everybody in the region understands what a jewel we have here in Southern Arizona.
Okay, with that, thank you very much, Anne, and goodbye all. I'm going to end the meeting.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.